Hey everyone, welcome back to Wealthy Mentor Trading. Today is March the 7th, 2021. Today I'm going to be looking at SPX, the moves to the upside, to the downside, where I see it going in terms of targets, take profits. I'm also going to be looking at our traditional watch list, which includes Apple, NVDA, Tesla, Zoom, Roku, PTON, and a bunch of other ones. Right now, I do have a chart of ES, which is SPX futures. And as you guys can see here, we did close Friday session at 38.40. We have gapped up higher to start tonight's trading. We are at 38.57, and that is a bullish sign compared to what we went through last week, which we did receive a pretty sizable pullback. However, I am going to look over now to the SPX chart. But before I get into this, please give this video a thumbs up, comment, share with your friends, and also head over to thewealthymentor.net if you are looking to join our Discord group. We have great monthly memberships, 6-month, yearly memberships, which include daily watch lists along with swing trading names. We also provide market analysis, breaking news. We also give economic breaking news in terms of what the market's doing that day. It's a great group to be a part of, especially if you're trying to, further your education with regards to your trading. We also do have our callouts as well on our options trading. Okay, so here is a chart on SPX. As I said, we did close Friday session at 38.40. We do have overhead resistance at 38.50. As I mentioned into our group chat, 38.50 would be my first confirmation, and 38.80 would be my second confirmation for us to show that we are in a trend change on the smaller time frames. This is a 5-minute time frame, so I'm going to switch over here and go over to the 4-hour time frame to give you guys an outlook of basically where we're at. We do have all-time highs, obviously, here at 39.50. We did pull back as low as 3,700, 37.20 to be exact. And, it was there was a lot of weakness in the market along with market volatility. However, if you look at it from a long-term perspective, we're only 2.5%, 3% away from all-time highs. So if you think about it that way, we are still very bullish on the higher time frames. And if I switch over here to the daily time frame, you get an even better overview of it. As you guys can see here, look at the trend. The trend is still your friend, right? And we still are moving higher right here. Here's the pandemic lows, and we're still chugging along here. Now, my targets to the upside, I'm going to switch over to the 4-hour chart. Like I said, I'm looking at that 38.80, right, as my second confirmation for potential push to 3,900 psychological. That would be my first target where I would take profits. If you are more of a conservative trader, definitely look over the $3,900 mark for your entry. My second target profit would be 39.20 and 39.30. We do have resistance up here, quite a bit of it. As you guys can see here, back on October the 10th, we couldn't break it. Over here on the 17th of February, and over here on the 19th of February, and once more on the 24th before dropping as low as 37.20. So this would be my second target to take profits, along with 3,900 being my other one. To the downside, if we do see continued weakness, I am looking at 3,800 psychological as key support. Below that, I am looking at push down to 37.20. We did have big buyers stepping in, as you can see here, a long wick. This basically is a red candle. However, it is still very bullish. The reason for that is because this posture, we closed up here, right? And as you can see here, another long wick down, buyer stepped in again. So that tells you that 37.30 to 37.20 is strong support. So again, I'm looking at 3,800 for the break of that, for a push down to 37.20. If we do break 37.20, I am looking at 3,700 psychological resistance. right? Which we did have support back here on January the 29th, 2021. So that would be my first target. Sorry, this would be my second target. My entry on shorts would be below 3,800 for potential push to 3720, right? That would be my first take profit zone. If selling proceeds and the market conditions show that we are selling off and heading lower, my second position take profit would be that $3,700 mark because we did hit it back on January the 29th. So look for market weakness below 3,800. That's a key level for me to the downside. As I said, to the upside, 3880 would basically change my opinion on the market that we are heading higher, potentially hit all-time highs. So look for 3880 for the break and a break of 3800 for the downside as well. Okay, that is SPX on the 4-hour chart. And my opinion on this is that we're still very bullish, so keep that in mind. Okay. My first name that I'm going to be looking at that's part of our watch lists on Wealthy Mentor Trading is Apple, AAPL. Keep in mind, guys, Apple is one of those names that tends to run with market conditions and how SPX is doing. So we did also receive a pullback on Apple, as you know. The market's pushed down, as did Apple. So we are here at just below 122 resistance. Above that, I am looking at 123 and 125. If you are a more of a conservative trader, definitely look at that 129 mark to break. Basically, it neglects the, what's it called, downtrend. So here's 1, 2 staircase pattern, third staircase pattern, and fourth right here. So in order to change this trend that we are in on the 4-hour time frame, I am looking at that 129 mark to break to show that we are, definitely on the way up as opposed to the way down. So 129, my first confirmation. If you want to trade safer, definitely look at that second confirmation at 130.5. Right here, we do have resistance back on the 19th of February. So these two areas right here, 129 and 130.5, are areas for me where I would peg an entry. To the downside, I am looking at that 117.50 mark to hold. We did hold it here last week on March the 5th. Buyer stepped in, right? Once more right here, big long wick, pushing as low as 118. Buyer stepped in again. That's February 23rd, 2021. Again, if we do break that 117.50 mark and buyers don't step in, I am looking at 116 as my first target and 114 as my second target. Okay. Now to the upside, if you are a scalp swing trader, options trader, which is what we offer in our group, definitely look over that 123 mark as an entry for a scalp trade to the 124.50, 125 mark, right? I would close my positions here. If the market is showing strength and perhaps there's a catalyst on Apple, an upgrade by an analyst, definitely look to double down your position at that 125 mark for a potential take profit at the 127.50 mark. Okay, so Apple, heading over to the 1-day chart to give you guys an outlook. We're sort of in a wait and see approach to see how the market acts. And, if we're above 3,800, I am bullish on Apple. If we are below 3,800 on SPX, again, I do see Apple heading even lower down to the 116, 114 mark, which would also actually make a great buying opportunity on Apple if you are a long-term swing trader. Okay, so that is Apple on the 4-hour and the 1-day time frame. The next name I'm going to be looking at is NVDA, NVIDIA. NVIDIA also received a sizable pullback, heading back into this channel of 540 to 500. We see ourselves again back into that channel after market weakness. So some of my targets going into next week, I am definitely looking at that 515 mark for a safer entry. If you are a scalp trader, definitely look for the break of 505. and 510 for potential scalp to the 515 mark. If you are a safer trader, definitely look at 515 and 520. Above that, I am looking for retests of the breakdown candle, which is the 535 mark. Big candle down here. Again, also rejected by the moving average right here. We couldn't break it at 518, pushed back down lower. And again, right here, we are basically right where the moving average is. So for me, a confirmation would be one above the 9-day EMA. If we get past above that and stay above that, I am looking at that 515, 520 mark for a proper entry. Okay. If 520 does break, like I said, look for that 530, 535 breakdown area. If we, if we have great volume and the market conditions are great, definitely look for retests at 544 to 548. Those are areas of significance for me. To the downside, if we do see continued market weakness, definitely look for the break below 500 for scalp trades, right down to the 484 mark, which obviously we did have support here and it held here pretty well. We did wick as low as 468. Uh, Buyers just stepped in and pushed the price back up to the $500 mark. If you caught this wick down here and you bought in here, um, you're in the money already. I would not necessarily recommend buying and trying to catch the fallen knife. However, I do recommend scaling in your positions. So if you are an options trader, you don't go guns blazing with 5, 10, 15 contracts. You probably want to progressively add to your position as the price goes higher. Same thing with swing trading. If you have, let's just say $10,000, I wouldn't go $10,000 all at 468 because potentially we can receive a bigger pullback. So it's a great buying opportunity even at the $500 mark. So those are my targets to the upside. To the downside, if we do break 484, I am looking at a retest of the 468. I would enter shorts at that 484 mark on the break of that, right? For potential take profits at that 468, 464 mark. Okay. So that is my thoughts on NVDA on the 4-hour time frame. Another name that's also received a sizable pullback is Tesla, TSLA. Tesla provides great volatility to both sides, and whoever followed the signals that were given out last week in the group definitely profited really well. Tesla has been on a free fall since hitting $900. Here we are on the 4-hour time frame. As you guys can see, on the 4-hour time frame, we did hit as low as 540 before buyers stepped in, closing Friday session just below 600 resistance. Uh, going into Monday, I mean, if you are more of a safer trader, definitely look for that 650 mark to break. This would be your first confirmation. Your second confirmation for an entry would be 665. This would be my entry area. One, I would look to see if volume is confirming the action. So if there's big volume around this area and it's getting broken, would be my entry. Two would be the market conditions to see if SPX is above that $3,800 mark. Three, to see if there's a catalyst on Tesla. Tesla is one of those names that always is in the news. They're always innovative. There's always analysts upgrading or downgrading the stock. So all those are clues for you to enter at those areas. So also like just don't enter at 665, for example, to see if there's any supporting documentation, analyst, upgrades, whatever it may be to support your entry at that 665 mark. Okay. If you are a scalp trader, options trader, and you're trying to look to catch the swings, definitely look for 600, 610 to break for an entry, and you take profits at that 620, 630, and 640 mark, which will provide uh, a great return on your money if you are an options trader around those areas. To the downside, if Tesla can't hold 600, I definitely see us retesting back down. Um, Breaking 600 would be my first confirmation. My second confirmation would be if we cannot hold 585. As you guys can see here, we did have 4-hour candles here holding that 585 mark. So if that can't hold, I would enter shorts at 585 for potential take profit at 570. If selling proceeds, I would increase my short position to 2 or 3 contracts, depending on what size account you have. Guys, risk management is important, so don't go guns blazing on one name always. Do your due diligence. So 570 were to break, I would increase for a potential retest of that 540 mark. Okay, if 540 were to break, I am looking at 518 and 505 as my next targets on Tesla. I'm going to switch over here to the daily time frame to give you guys an outlook on where Tesla is. I mean, Tesla's pretty neutral right now to me. I don't see it as being bullish or bearish. I'm seeing it as we do have some consolidation here from the 570 to the 565 mark. So as long as we're in that zone, we could bounce around here for quite a while. But like I said, a safer entry would be that 665 mark for potential trend change on Tesla. Okay, so that is Tesla on the daily time frame and the 4-hour time frame. Definitely look at Tesla, NVDA, and Apple for a lot of oversold bounces as well. Look for the higher time frames, the RSI on the 4-hour and the 1-day. That doesn't necessarily tell you that we're heading higher, as they are lagging indicators. However, it does give you some sort of confirmation or some sort of, like indication that we might be heading higher because we are oversold conditions. And even though oversold conditions might not lead to anything major, they do have small bounces that you can catch, especially if you are an options trader. So keep that in mind, guys, when you're heading into Monday. A lot of these stocks are oversold on the higher time frames. Okay, so that is Tesla on the 4-hour time frame. Another name that was significant to me was ZM, sorry, on the 4-hour time frame here. I am going to switch to the 4-hour time frame. ZM has pretty much retraced from 588 back down to the 300 mark, which was the initial breakout back on August the 31st, 2020. We are in a similar position now. Now you guys can look at it as a great buying opportunity. If we cannot hold that 325 mark, definitely look for a test at the 305 mark. So going into Monday, I am looking at a break of the 355, 356 mark for potential scalps at that 367, 366, and 374. If you are a more of a conservative trader and don't want to deal with, rug pulls and seesaw action, definitely look for that 390 mark to break for a scalp trade to the 400, 410, and 415 mark, which obviously we do have resistance up here, and it had support for quite a while before it broke down back here on February the 19th. So look for those areas to get retested. If the 390 mark breaks, look for 400, 410, 415 to be retested. Okay, that's to the upside. To the downside, like I said, if we can't hold that 340 mark, I know we are consolidating underneath that mark, but if we can't hold that and volume shows that we are heading lower, definitely look for 325. If 325 can't hold, look for a scalp trade to that 305 mark. If 305 can't hold, you head over to the daily chart for more clarity. And as you can see here on the daily chart, you can draw another level of resistance, which I'm going to draw right here for you guys, where we can head even lower. And that to me is that 280 mark. So if things get really ugly and 325 breaks, short down to 305, close your positions, guys, because when you're shorting, it's not the same as going long. Sometimes, when the market opens at 9:30, the stocks sell off. don't expect the stock to sell off the whole day. That's very rare. You might catch that, but you know, the probability is not that high. So when you are shorting at that 325 mark and it hits that 305 mark, take your profits. Take profits, reevaluate, see what the stock does around that 305 mark. If there's continued weakness, you can re-enter once more for that push to 280. Okay, that's to the downside. Obviously, you guys know my position to the upside. 390 is a key level for me. Retests of 315, 310 are another area for you to take profits. Okay, that is Zoom on the daily and the 4-hour time frame. This is one of those names I'm going to be keeping tabs on. All right, heading forward, I am looking at PTON, which was another name that has seen a lot of weakness recently. PTON and Zoom are one of those names, obviously, that succeeded during this pandemic due to people working out at home, using exercise equipment on Peloton, and Zoom using streaming services, online services, working from home. These type of things succeeded. They, I wouldn't say they won't succeed past the pandemic when people get back to work and whatnot, but definitely you see the inflation in price this week when we saw sizable pullbacks on Peloton of 10, 12% on multiple days. So here we are on Peloton on the 4-hour time frame. And as you guys can see here, we did close Friday's action just above resistance just above resistance of 106. Heading into Monday, I am looking at that 110, 111 mark for an entry, for a scalp trade to the 114 mark and the 117 to 120 mark. As you guys can see here, this was the breakdown candle, the 117 mark, which essentially pushed us below 100. Buyers did step in at that $95 mark, which was a great buying opportunity. And I would say we're in a no trade zone until we break that 111, 110 mark. To the downside, if we do head lower, look for 100 to break for potential scalp to the $95 mark, which would make it, um, twice that we've hit that mark. If 95 can't break, definitely look for that $88 mark to get hit as your second take profit target. Okay, switching over here to the daily time frame to give you guys an outlook on Peloton. As you guys can see here, we did hit that $95 mark, which coincides with that $95 mark that we hit back on November the 11th, 2020. So if you want, if you guys did get into this mark right here at that $100 mark, to me, it was a great entry. Oversold basically on the 4-hour and the daily time frame. Um, this could make for some great swings, especially if you're an options trader, to catch these to the downside and also to the upside when the market corrects. Definitely look for Peloton to hit 5-10% in one day to test these breakdown areas. And to me, this thing can run all the way back up to the 145 mark, which we did see quite a bit of consolidation here before we essentially broke down. So if you are really bullish on Peloton, definitely look to that 146 mark to get hit again, retesting the breakdown candle. Okay, so that is Peloton on the daily time frame. Moving along, another name, SQ Square. Square is closely correlated with Bitcoin. Obviously, the markets had a down week. Bitcoin also is closely correlated to the S&P 500, and Bitcoin is also correlated to Square. So if you guys do see weakness in those areas, definitely look for Square to have weakness as well. And that's exactly what happened. Here we are on the 4-hour time frame. Square did go down and dip down as low as the 190 mark, which coincides perfectly here back on January the 28th, 2021. And as you guys can see here, that 190 mark is key for me because the last time we hit that 190 mark, we hit all-time highs a month after. Okay, so again, just like Peloton, this could be a great buying opportunity. As you guys can see here, buyers did step in on the 4-hour time frame, and we did close Friday's session at that 218 mark, which to me is still a great buying opportunity, and the stock is still pretty healthy. Um, so, however, if you are a swing trader, if you are a conservative trader, definitely look over that 230 mark to break. If 230 does break, look for take profit areas at 237 and 240. To the downside, if we cannot hold 210, that would be your first confirmation. Your second confirmation would be that 206 to 203 mark. If 206 to 203 does break, definitely look for an entry and a push down to 200. And if 200 cannot hold, definitely look for retest at that 190 mark, which was the lowest that we've hit since basically back in January 2021. Let me just double check that for you guys. Yes, January 26th was the last time we hit those marks. So if we do see weakness below that $200 mark, definitely look for a push down again to that 190 mark. If we cannot hold 190, I'll let you guys know where I see it going. If we do see continued weakness and below 190, definitely look for that 188 to 186 mark for the next potential profit taking to the downside. Okay. To the upside, like I said, 230, above 230, 237, 240, and 245 are targets that I'm going to be looking at heading into next week. Hopefully, just like the other names like Peloton, Tesla, we do receive a sizable bounce, right? Retesting our breakdown candle. So this thing could potentially hit back all the way up to 255. Just looking at Bitcoin right now, we are pretty bullish on Bitcoin still. We are above the $51,000 mark. So if Bitcoin opens up tomorrow over that 50 plus $1,000 mark, definitely look for Zoom to also closely correlate to that and hit back to those areas where we're most comfortable with, which was that 250 to 260 area. As you guys can see here, a lot of price action right here. And, last week, you guys can see it as a terrible week. But like I said in the beginning of the stream, we're only 2 or 3% away from all-time highs. So think of this as a good, great buying opportunity on your favorite names. Okay. So that is Square on the 4-hour time frame, my positions to the upside and to the downside. Another name which I felt was a great buying opportunity, which we haven't seen these in a while, which is NIO, NIO, another EV name. The EV sector was definitely battered. As you guys know, Tesla didn't do so well, but the good news is Monday's another day and a new week, and which makes a great buying opportunity. And here we are on the 4-hour time frame to show you guys that. As you guys can see here, the $38 mark has held for support right here back on December the 2nd, 2020. Over here, again on the 11th of December. Over here, back on the November 2020. So that $38 mark to me makes a great buying opportunity. As you guys can see as well, buyers did step in from $32. We wicked as low as 32, essentially pushing it back on Friday, just closing below the moving average, which is at that $38 mark. Heading into next week, I'm definitely looking at that $40 mark and the $43 mark for potential entries. If you are more of a conservative trader, definitely look at that $43 mark to break for an entry for potential scalps to 46 and $47. If you are a super sensitive trader and you don't want to deal with any of this downtrend, definitely look at that 49 to $50 mark, $51 mark for an entry. That way you're not caught up in a rug pull. if the market was to reverse and head lower. To the downside, I am looking at that $36 mark. If 36 does break, look for that retest at that $32 mark. I would take profits here. If market conditions continue to show weakness, definitely look at that $30 mark as your next take profit area. Like I said, if you are a trader, I would recommend looking at that $40 and $43 mark for entries for potential take profits at that 45 to 47. A safer trader, definitely look at that 49 to $51 mark for potential 54, $56 take profit area. As you guys can see here, 56 to 54 has held here for support for such a long time. I would say, let's just see, from January the 7th all the way to February the 19th, 2021, which is almost just over a month. And, just like the other names, definitely look for a retest of those breakdown areas, which is that $55 mark. Okay. So that is another name, NIO, that I will be closely looking at heading into next week. All right, guys, those are the most significant names that I'm going to be looking at. And these names that I just discussed are part of our daily watch list, meaning we do update these names every single day, depending on how the market's opening up, how the market is acting pre-market. We also give our stocks to watch for the day, which does include names that have significant news headlines, analyst upgrades, or depending on how they're doing pre-market. So these are some of the names we constantly look at, and we do have these charts also saved for group members. So if that's something that you're interested in and you want someone to help you with the prep, we prep every single day and we don't miss a day. So definitely check us out at thewealthymentor.net. And if you have any questions, also check out our Instagram page, Wealthy Mentor Trading. We offer a lot of great information there. A lot of times I post on the Snap and give you guys results with regards to earnings and who passed earnings and did well, or who bombed on earnings. Anyways, check that out. A lot of great clues for free as well. All right, guys, thank you so much. And we'll see you guys next week. Thank you. Bye.